This is Robert Gleeman with EMR Update. I'm talking today with President Dan Montzka from IntelleMED. And IntelleMED is a specific EMR for ophthalmology. Dan, thanks for being with us today.
Oh, you're welcome.
I understand, Dan, that you are a practicing retina physician and as well as the founder of IntelleMED, and that you are not a programmer.
No, that is correct.
How did you ever get into such a field as EMR?
Well, a few years ago, I left a large multi-specialty ophthalmology practice and started my own practice, and I was really interested in the efficiencies that could be gained through an EMR, and I looked around at the offerings that were out there and just didn't feel that they were really well-suited to what I was trying to accomplish in my own practice.
And I understand, not being a programmer myself, that this was developed in MS InfoPath. What is MS InfoPath?
It's part of Microsoft Office,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the components of Office you don't hear much about. It allows the generation of templates. You can go so far with Microsoft InfoPath. We did find that eventually we did bring in some programmers to add features that we were unable to develop within InfoPath itself.
And I understand that you also work with the SQL database for some of your modules?
Yeah, that's InfoPath stores everything in XML.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to get a very data-centric EMR, you need to. We found we needed to get it into a database.
Is it an in-office server type of program, or is it an online ASP?
Right now, we're doing it as an in-office server application,
Mm-hmm.
but we could quite easily move it to an ASP.
I see it. What first caught my attention about IntelleMED was your IntelliDraw. And this I saw, it was lit up like a Christmas tree with lots of dots of color. And can you explain a little bit about why an ophthalmologist, a retina surgeon, would need to draw, and why this IntelliDraw is different?
As a retinal surgeon or an ophthalmologist, we do a lot of our documentation is done with drawings and diagrams.
Mm-hmm.
I found that, and also one of the things about drawing and diagrams, it's one of the most time-consuming things that we do. It can take, several minutes to put together a very detailed diagram. And there is a small amount of revenue, but typically we don't do it for the revenue. You do it to have an accurate description of what's going on with that patient. And we looked around at some of the drawing programs that were available, the icon-based systems, and found some significant limitations in those systems. And I was really looking for a system that could put together a very detailed, very specific drawing in a short amount of time. So that's how we came to IntelliDraw.
And I understand that your charting system is very granular in nature. And can you tell me what do you really mean by that?
I mean that data can be edited very specifically. The location of a lesion, the severity of a lesion, the status of a lesion can be edited individually, so as little pieces of data. And like default findings are put in as individual findings, not a summary of negative findings, something like that. They're all put in individually, and therefore they can be edited individually. We found that it's important to do it this way, especially in ophthalmology and retina, because our patients are typically older. They present with multiple findings, multiple abnormalities, and for the complex patients, we really found that the granular system was far better.
Now, you also have a thing that you call the Smart Pick List. And is that for the charting system?
Yeah, that's a way of charting findings. We found that it was difficult to have essentially a template that was created disease-specific. We needed a template that was basically problem list specific. So from the problem list, we can define a unique set of what we call Smart Pick lists for any particular patient.
You unveiled IntelliDraw at this past year's American Academy of Ophthalmology meeting. How was the response to it?
It was really kind of exciting because almost everybody that we saw came back for a second look. They came back with their partners, with other people they knew, and we got a lot of referrals in that sense. It's done the way they do drawings. It's not icon. The icon-based drawing systems tend to look a little bit cartoonish in nature, and it kind of turns off a lot of the physicians. And in addition to becoming very difficult to utilize an icon-based system when you develop hundreds or potentially thousands of icons to describe a patient's problem in detail.
And I understand also that this is quite different from the usual drag-and-drop drawing applications.
With your drag and drop of the icons onto your drawing background, you're having to look to find the proper icon. Where this system, the drawing is generated in layers from your documentation. So basically, you press a button, and the system gives you a proposed drawing, which can then be edited by going into individual pathology and editing that particular layer.
And aside from the drawing module, there is also IntelliChart, the charting module, and IntelliView, the document management system, IntelliFile. Do these all work together, or can you pick and choose which modules that you want to use?
Typically, a user is going to use all the modules together. They do function very well together. We have found that some practices do have their own imaging system and may not use our IntelliView module.
They can work together or separately?
Yes. Our product is very, very physician-friendly in that that's really where the biggest benefit is to the doctor in terms of him being able to document a very detailed examination very quickly. For instance, for 12 years I was in practice and I used a scribe for the first 11 and a half years. The past 6 months, with the use of IntelliChart, I've been able to, find other things for my scribe to do, essentially, and continue to see the same numbers of patients and being able to document with the same level of detail that I could with a scribe.
This is a very specialized EMR. This is only for ophthalmology, is that correct?
Absolutely correct, yes.
Why is ophthalmology so different when it comes to EMR?
Well, ophthalmologists, they really focus on different things than a generalist does. Our patients are typically older. They typically come in with multiple problems. It's just a very different focus than the general medical EMR.
Can it be demonstrated over the internet?
Oh, absolutely. We do online demonstrations.
So you highly recommend a tablet for this program?
Yeah, the tablet with the active digitizer screens are by far the nicest, the best experience for doing detailed drawings.
Great. Yeah, my eye was drawn to the color. Maybe it's the holiday season, but
yeah, I think so. This software also uses Microsoft Ink technology, which gives you a very smooth drawing appearance versus the kind of grainy appearance that you'll see with some of the older technology. It uses Microsoft Ink, which is very, very smooth.
What would you say to the ophthalmologists that read EMR updates, since this is who we're talking to right now, about this program and this new concept that you're working on? What would you like to say to them directly?
Well, I'd say they really ought to take a look at this system. I think, the most important thing that any ophthalmologist should consider when they're looking at EMR is how it's going to affect their clinical efficiency. An ophthalmologist office is often very busy. They see a lot of pathology, and they need a system that they're going to be able to continue to see the numbers of patients that they were seeing on paper. They can't afford a slowdown. And we're finding it with our system in our early installs, we've been finding that people have been able to pick up the system and start running with it very, very quickly. And I think that is absolutely the most important thing to look for, is a system that's going to allow them to continue to practice medicine efficiently.
Mm-hmm. Well, I thank you very much. This looks like an interesting product, and I'm glad that we could call the attention of our members to it. Thank you, Dan. Dan Montzka, MD, and founder of IntelleMED.